Okay, did you tell me one time at lunch, was did you did you see like one of the first Sinatra sessions? Is that what? Yeah.
Yeah, well, Don had worked with Sinatra a long time. He became, in those years from, I would say, 68 to 80, he was Sinatra's principal producer,
Right.
arranger,
Right.
and live music conductor.
Yeah.
When you were close to Frank, especially, they were both Italian,
Yeah. Yeah.
there was no getting out from being with him when he needed you. And Don was
Right.
happy to travel with him because it was, world class, first class, everything.
Right.
So, if Sinatra was working at Caesar's Palace for a week, Sinatra, I mean, he brought Costa with him, and Don was the conductor of the orchestra.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got to LA and I was living with Don in his beautiful high-rise apartment for the first couple of weeks. And he said, I got houses all over the place and I have places for you to go. So a couple of weeks
How was
later,
that?
I moved out and moved into one of his houses that was not even being lived in. He told
Man.
me my mom was living in it, but it was too much for her to manage. So we moved her to an apartment. I said, okay. And he said, and the house is vacant, so you're welcome to go live in it. And I did. I moved in. It was in the Hollywood Hills. Incredible, beautiful house. Not terribly large, but great. And I mean, I get to move in rent free. This
Oh
guy
my
treated
God.
me like a king.
He just set you up.
Yeah, totally.
Oh
So
man.
I'm there like a week. And he said to me, I was in the apartment with him, hanging out every day, doing stuff, getting ready, getting set up. He took me to see the studio they were building and the offices. He said, in about a month, we're going to move in. We'll have offices there. And I got to see where I would be. In the meantime, he was about to record Sinatra for, like a new album. So he played me. I had not met in person. I don't think I ever met Paul Anka in New York, even though Costa had discovered Paul and signed him
Right.
and did all his early records. So they were very good friends. And Paul came up to the apartment because he had written My Way. And he was going over some stuff with Don. And I got to hear, Don was like playing things for me. Dennis, what do you think of this? And he's like humming the string line, for what would become My Way, and I barely knew the song. I really just got there. I didn't want to weigh in too heavily on, what I thought, because it was just a little bit too new for me.
Right. Right.
Nonetheless, he played me, what he was working on. I heard the song in its demo form. I remember Don had a little conversation with Sammy Cahn, which also led me to believe that Sammy Cahn had something to do with the lyrics of My Way. But anyway, a week later, Don said, I want you to come. We're going to record it tomorrow night. I said, okay, I'd love to. He said, and you'll meet Frank and his posse. I said, okay. So we went to those famous studios, United Western. It was recorded in Western One, which was my favorite studio in all of LA. And I'm sitting in the control room with Don the whole night. And Frank walks in when they were rehearsing the orchestra, doing a couple of rundowns. And Frank walked into the control room with 3 or 4 of his friends. And I got to meet the famous Jilly. That was a name that Sinatra was always associated with. Jilly was like a childhood friend, had been with Sinatra since they were kids in Hoboken, New Jersey.
Is that right?
And Jilly was like, he owned a restaurant in New York and a bar, and he was Sinatra's, go-to buddy. So he was there in LA, and I met a couple of his other people, interestingly enough. Hank Sanacola Sr. was another one of Frank's longtime close friends and confidants, and involved with him in business. And
Right.
Hank Sanacola Sr., who I'd only met that night, and never saw again. Years later, like I'm talking about 15 years later, I got to know his son, Hank Sanacola Jr., and became really close friends with him and his wife and their kids. And Hank Sanacola Jr. inherited the publishing company from his father, which was originally a partnership between Frank and Hank Sr. And when Frank, and this is a story I heard a number of times, but I know it's true. I heard it from Hank Sr., from Hank Jr., from Costa, from, when Sinatra was denied the right to have a casino license in the state of Nevada because he was going to buy a hotel, I believe in Reno or in Tahoe, and he would become the principal owner of a hotel with a casino in Nevada. He was denied the right to own a casino because of his ties to the mob.
Sure.
Principally that guy Sam Giancana,
right?
That gangster from Chicago that Sinatra was very friendly with, and there were some potentially bad associations and stuff with Giancana, right. And they said nope, Sinatra can't own a club. So Hank Sanacola Jr. was shut out of becoming an owner of a casino hotel with Sinatra. Sinatra felt bad because this was his best childhood friend.
Yeah.
He said, that publishing company we started together 10 years ago, I'm giving it to you 100%.
Oh my gosh.
So he gives him his 50% as a consolation prize for not being able to own the casino. And that company, which is called Barton Music, Barton, they own to this day. And I have been trying for the last 30 years to get Jackie, who is his Hank Jr.'s wife. Junior is gone. He died rather young from cancer. Senior's long gone. Hank's mom's gone. There's only his sister still left. And his sister and Jackie, Hank Jr.'s wife, have the principal ownership of Barton Music. And they have made a lot of noise to sell it over the years, but they still are holding it. She still runs it.
Oh my.
And in that company are songs like Love and Marriage, High Hopes, a lot of those Sinatra songs that were from the later period of his career,
right.
that he was able to own or control the publisher.
Sure.
So anyway, I go to the My Way sessions that night, in LA it was probably 68 when they recorded it, probably in December, I would say. And I got to meet Frank, and he was incredibly lovely and gracious to me. I sat in the control room the entire time. He did 2 takes and walked out with his people. He was done. Frank, Don said, "Don't worry, Frank, it's perfect. I'll take the best line,
Oh man.
And that was it. But I got to hear him sing My Way live, with the orchestra live.
Oh man. Dang.
It was incredible.